You are listening to A Chatter of Fact. Again, these are not interviews, they're conversations. Harmony France, hi.
Hi.
Before I get into like why people are paying a lot of attention to you, I'm sure they paid attention to you before this because I hear you're super talented.
Oh, well, that's very kind.
Yeah. But is it weird because and we'll get into the details, everybody. I'm just like jumping right into it because I told you this already off mic, but I have to say it again because here we are. We have one or two mutual friends. Mm-hmm. We don't have enough mutual friends for you to explode on my Facebook page like you did. Like you exploded. Yeah. And that one it's kind of sexy, serious. Oh. It's kind of a sexy, serious picture that's tied to the article or to the blog.
That I've since taken down, yes.
Did you take it down?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but it had like a weird, I'm a serious woman. It also had like, I'm a passionate woman, but it also had kind of a, I'll kill you if I have to.
Sure, but it also showed quite a bit of cleavage. And so.
Is it weird? I'm a guy.
Yeah.
But I noticed just the face because.
And that's good because I didn't want it to be a sexual picture, actually. I wanted to like show part of my body. But have it not be sexual, have it be empowering and strong. So
did you put back like a cropped version or was it?
It's a different photo, but it's still it's a good photo.
Did people say things about it?
Oh, people said really disgusting.
Oh, things. Did they try to use that to combat your message?
It was more internet trolls saying demeaning, sexual, disgusting things on my blog. So
I guess that's
part of it.
You can do, mm-hmm. So the machine and the monster that it is. There's probably almost nothing you can do. I mean, that was a good move then.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird. Well, you blew up it was just one morning I woke up and thought, let's see who's posting their scrambled eggs this morning. And I saw you and you and you and you. And it was so weird. And has it been strange for you? Because here, I even wrote down, everybody knows I take zero notes because I'm here just to meet somebody as if we just ran into some place and here we are. But my gosh, the blog, parts of the UK.
Oh, yeah.
Really, like the New York Times, the Huffington Post.
In France, it's been in some South American countries.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Thanks.
But I mean, it must be a little overwhelming in a sense just to see. And then I was reading, at what point it was getting like 2,000 hits a minute or something like that, like something insane.
It was like thousands of hits an hour.
An hour?
Like
okay.
If you hit refresh, which I spent like half a day doing this, which is probably not healthy, but I was just in shock. If you hit refresh on my blog stats, it was like 300 views a minute. It was just.
That's insane.
It was crazy. Yeah, it was really nuts.
Good for you, though, man. I mean, did you have any idea?
No, I have some sort of political or feminist rant on Facebook almost every single day.
You're that person. You're that Facebook person.
I am that Facebook person. And this one, I had nothing like this has ever happened to me before. I can now say never put anything on Facebook that you don't want the world to see. Because
you never know.
You never know. And I did not post it publicly. I don't post anything publicly. I posted it I'm very heavy-handed with the privacy controls.
Okay.
I would say that I'm privately open. So I'm very open on Facebook, but it is for a very curated list of people. So when you make something public, because it started to go viral in New York first, because a couple of my friends from the Sister Act tour were like, oh, can I share this? And I was like, oh, okay, but don't tag me. Nice. I was like, okay. And then it just kind of, it just started getting completely out of control.
You were in Sister Act? You were in the touring?
I was in the national tour of Sister Act. Yeah, okay. I just finished up this summer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so that was a big enough pull. Is that kind of where it started?
It went viral in New York first,
okay. So those were New York actors or actresses.
Yeah, and I think because they didn't know me, I think that the message hit them even stronger than people that know me because they have more context, like they know the shows I've done, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean? Whereas New York, they're just reading like this empowering piece about an actor who's reclaiming her body image.
Again, it's too bad that people got into the photo because the look on your face in the photo. Mm-hmm. lent to the piece.
Yeah.
It was a smart. I thought it was a smart picture. You should just crop that stuff and put it back, man. It was very effective.
It's on a lot of things.
Is it?
It's
Okay.
on a lot of things.
Oh, actually, it's still up. Yeah.
I took it down off my blog. Well, Huffington Post contacted me, and when I was trying to decide if I was going to post with Huffington Post or not, that was one of the things I decided to do to protect myself.
Yeah.
Was to take the photo down. Women historically, especially strong women, with strong opinions about politics or talking about their bodies or anything like that, it can lend itself to a lot of harassment and abuse.
Yeah.
So I just took a couple of steps to protect myself before I went completely public.
It's well. Let's get into it. I wanted to just literally. I wanted to start off with that. Like, how weird was that for you?
Was,
but
yeah.
Just to see it explode. But so, folks, let's get into it. This is Harmony France. She's an actor extraordinaire. I've yet to have a non-working actor on here. I mean, you're busy.
Yeah,
you're
I'm
doing
pretty busy.
it. How long have you been working in the Chicago scene?
Let's see, 10 years. 10 years working as a working actor, and then before that, I was at Columbia College for 2 years.
Oh, really?
And before that, I was in the Navy for 6 years.
See, I love this. We're going to get into some
and
stuff,
before
man.
that,
all right.
I was studying opera for 3 years.
Opera to the Navy.
Opera to the Navy.
Okay, somebody
to
can write an
acting.
opera about somebody studying opera then going into the Navy. You're onto something, man. That's your next piece. That's your script.
Yeah, there it is. That's my next piece I'm going to write.
All right. Well, I'm fighting on a boat. Yeah, man.
Just
well,
like that.
Here's what we're getting. You studied opera too, so
yeah, I
great.
hated it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think opera is beautiful, but it was not for me.
But I love that, just like that, because inside you're like, this man knows nothing about singing opera. That's cool.
I don't think I do either. I mean, I was
It's
15.
tough. You know what?
So.
Before I got my current singing gig, which is insane, which is whatever everybody knows.
It sounds crazy.
You know, like now between the corporate and then my regular stuff, whatever, it's almost 200 shows a year. I went to more of an operatic, classically trained teacher. Actually, she worked out of Bastion, but she's gone now.
Oh, okay.
And that, man, the muscles that they flex, it helped me get through because I was losing my voice.
Well, you
once every 5 months. Once I started
do anything
training.
else. When you're studying opera, you can't go karaoke. You can't sing along to the, at least when I was studying it, maybe they're a little more lax now. I don't know. But that's part of the reason I didn't like it, because they didn't want me to go do my rock musicals that I wanted to do. You know what I mean? So.
I basically asked them, I said, listen, I have this gig. I'm going to be singing a lot. I have a July. There's 24 shows in July. And, it's 3-hour shows usually. Yeah. It's a lot of singing. I'll sing 50 songs and sometimes have 2 shows a day. And so I said, tell
Stamina.
me what does an opera singer do? What does the theater person who has 8 shows a week? Show me that. And that was a life changer.
Well, I mean, from being a singer, and I've learned recently from, going and getting some vocal therapy, like you have to take vocal naps, which I'd never heard that term before.
Oh, I haven't heard that. What's a vocal nap?
Like if you have a job, like for instance, if I have a job during the day where I'm answering phones and then I'm singing all night, I'm constantly using my instrument. So it's just to take 20-minute vocal naps where you don't talk at all. Okay. One or two
just
times a day.
Just a little 20-minute block.
Yeah, just to reset everything. And
oh, that's cool. Remember that then, singers. She knows what she's talking about. Seriously, she's a naval opera singer.
Naval intelligence.
Oh, hell yeah. Really? I can't wait to get. Okay, so anyway, I keep off-putting what you came
talking about.
You came to my attention because you blew up my Facebook pages.
Yes.
This blog, I didn't even know it was a blog at the time. It just seemed like an article, and I think the first one I saw was possibly the Huffington Post.
Oh, then you might have seen the picture that is up now. The one before that, I was kind of...
Oh, okay. So...
In a state of undress.
Oh, great. So much for me giving myself credit. Like, I just looked at your eyes. I was up there. Meanwhile, okay, well, I'm just a pig because apparently I missed what you took down.
No. The one that's up now is fine.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's what I saw then.
Okay.
Oh, seriously, though. I was giving myself all this credit.
I know.
When I might have actually been one of the guys that went, ooga, and instead. But
I doubt it. I doubt it somehow.
Well, either way, nice pick. The one I saw was good.
Thank you.
But anyway, so Harmony blew up my Facebook page, and then I read this article, which I don't always read when something blows up on Facebook.
Yeah.
Because what most people are putting out there forever, seriously, unless it's kind of a funny video or something,
Sure.
I just don't care because too many people rant. But somehow, I don't know. You know, oh, well, I think it was because it was Huffington Post and the way that they tagged it. I can't remember exactly what they said, but I read it and I couldn't stop reading it. I thought it was really good. And it was basically, I mean, you know, short answer would be, you know, it really talked about diversity, and it talked about body image specifically for women. And you're so dead on because you were talking about how, hey, every play, oh, I better lose 15 pounds for this role, better lose 40 pounds for that role, better lose 10 for, you know, and it's quite a grueling process and it doesn't seem like men are, and folks, I'm not trying to wave a flag here. I'm just, you know, being matter of fact.
Hey, wave it.
Well, matter of fact of what I see, because I'm investigating this myself, or, you know, I'm learning this for myself. Can't say investigating, then I sound like, yeah, listen, I'm really putting my nose with the grindstone. Like, no, I had you over and I'm giving you cookies. But,
I like the cookies. They're really good.
I told you, this whole day with me is the opposite of what's bothering you. I'm like, come over, bring I'd like you to gain 40 pounds from my podcast. That's what you'll
awesome.
get. But anyway, you know, I do see the difference, you know, and it sucks. Not only is it's getting better, you know, I see it more in movies maybe than theater. I'm not as aware of what happens in theater.
Sure.
I mean, the roles get a little better because we have these hard-hitting people, you know. I mean, back, you know, from obviously the Meryl Streeps of the world or the Renee Zellwegers and all that, you know. I remember when she was like on fire for a bit back in the day. Yeah,
I do.
Well, I see that, but it's definitely in so many ways, dudes have it easier. I mean, guys can have a gut. Guys can be 60 and still be a leading man and things like that.
Still be the leading man and be the like sexy man that the women are all going after. Yeah.
They're talking about another Indiana Jones movie. He's 70 now. He's 70 years old, and they're talking about making another one.
Oh, but Harrison Ford will always have my heart.
I mean, he just ruled that Star Wars thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you're a Star Wars person.
I'm a nut. Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
We'll get into that too.
I'm a nerd.
But seeing the difference, because I've not seen, you know, Harrison Ford it's not like he's somewhat slowed down as a leading man a little bit, but he has not stopped from the ages of 55 to 70. He's still been working. I'm not seeing a handful of female actresses at the, you know. So I see what you're saying, and I mean it's obviously true. I mean, anybody can read your article and then just take one quick peek at either the theater world or the movie world and see what she's dead on. And it does suck. And it's amazing that I feel like you're not the first person to say this, but man, did you pick up steam when you said it.
Yeah, and that's honestly, people ask me if I was surprised by the reaction that people have. And no, I'm not surprised that people care about this issue, but I am surprised that people are acting like they've never heard it before.
I am surprised that people care, because I feel like you randomly see people throw out this message, and I don't know, sometimes they just kind of brush it aside.
Yeah.
I've seen and heard the whole, well, and it becomes a punchline, or it's, some girl, you know, it's silly. And I don't know if it's because, I mean, I'll say this, yours was so well written though.
Oh, thank you.
I do think that any cause, not just the one that you're waving the flag for right now, but any cause, sometimes the actual message gets lost in the aggression and the push and the way. Sometimes people aren't waving a flag. They're like trying to smack you in the face with the flagpole.
Yeah.
And you put it out there in a big way, but it was so well written. Like I think you'd have to be a big jerk to not support what you wrote, and to not at least respect your point of view. At the very least, respect it, because the presentation was so good. Good job, man.
Thank you.
I got to high five you because, bam.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a well written, you know, I was a
that.
writer before anything else. So that always kind of pulls at my heartstrings and my brain strings. And you conveyed the message so well and emotionally. And obviously, you're personally tied to it because you've been through it.
Sure. But I mean, I think the point that I wanted to make, and not everyone got this point, and most of the pushback I've gotten has been because people think I'm trying to get attention or whatever. And my point in the whole thing was, yes, I've heard these things. right? People have said these things to me, like, you better lose weight. Not better, but you would need to lose weight for this role. You're not sexy enough. You're not believable as a love interest. They've said all of these things, but I'm getting I'm a normal sized woman being told these things. So there are women that are larger than me.
That's the thing. You're a good looking girl. You look normal. It's not like you're B from Give Me a Break saying, was it her name B? Huh. I don't know. Old TV reference, but you're not this oversized actress saying these things.
But honestly,
and that almost gives it more validity in a way.
In a way, but at the same time, what if I was? I don't know. Large people are in relationships. People of other races besides white play the love interest.
By the way, for you people who don't know her, she's saying this, and she's white.
I am.
That's
but that is
impressive.
Definitely one of my. I'm a casting director at Bailiwick Chicago in town, and because of training and kind of mentoring with Lillian Brown, who was the past artistic director, who's like this beautiful, strong, crazy talented Black woman. And we would cast a lot of minority heavy shows, and it kind of informed my manifesto, I suppose, on casting, that we just need to start casting these shows in a way that looks like the world.
Like reality.
That looks like reality.
Yeah.
Because the reason people go to see theater is to be moved and to relate to the people on stage, and they're going to relate to them even more if they can see themselves in them.
Yeah, my daughter goes to school down the street, and it's such a great, I love this, I'm kind of on the north side of the city here, northwest side, I don't know, of Chicago here, and her whole class is such a melting pot.
Yes.
I love the way she's going to grow up, because she doesn't think in colors at all. She's 6 and she doesn't think in colors because she's surrounded by every color of the rainbow right now in her classroom.
Which is fantastic, but I don't want to wait for those people to grow up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we have to do something now.
It's a tough road ahead, but man, you can't say people aren't, I wonder how many people have read your piece at this point.
I have no idea. My blog, once it leaves your blog and starts going to like other places like Huffington Post, New York Times picked it up for one of their online things, the Mirror.
That's huge.
The Mirror in London, which is hilarious because isn't that like just such a trashy like celebrity?
I don't know, but
I don't know. Is it? I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe
it's not. If it's their examiner, that's what I thought.
But it cracked me up because I read it and they had like 7 pictures of me. They'd gone on my Instagram account and like took all these pictures, and I was like, they're talking about me like I'm one of these C celebrities.
But that's,
London,
you know what?
Funny.
Like it or not, maybe you've actually become one.
No.
I don't know. You might be around E-ish.
I think it's a flash in the pan, but I'm really glad that people are they're receptive to it.
Here's what I like. I like the fact that in the midst of it, you're still working. So you can't. It's not just everything about you makes you the perfect messenger for this, because you're Caucasian, which is all of a sudden, well, that seems, weird, where sometimes even when it's a minority speaking the message, it's sad that makes the message sometimes lose validity to some people. It sucks. It's wrong. Because, like, well, why not? If I'm the person who sliced my arm open and I'm trying to tell the world, I have the injury right here, well, give me more validity because I'm the guy with the injury.
Well,
don't ignore
honestly,
me. But the fact that you're that, and yes, you're a normal sized person, and maybe the biggest factor that to me gives you so much weight is that you're working, and you say that you're like, I'm fine. I'm fine. And you're still raising, awareness, even though you have factors on your side, which is great. With the exception of like if somebody's still telling you don't look right for a part, but there are people doing way worse. And for you to kind of...
There are people dealing with way worse than what I've had to deal with.
And you're representing them. And that's, I think that makes the message, a little bigger to some folks. Like, oh, wait a minute.
And that's why
she doesn't have to do this.
When people focused on me, it was a little frustrating because that's not the message I wanted to get across.
That can get weird.
Or they'd be like, but you are beautiful. I'm like, didn't say I wasn't, actually.
I think the whole world, she's fishing for compliments. No, you morons.
Honestly not. And this is the thing. People of minority, people of color, minorities, they know there should be more roles for them.
Yeah.
Women who don't fit the normal body type, they know there should be more roles for them. Trans people know there should be more roles for them. This is not news to them.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. We're the ones that have to, join that fight.
Yeah, you're right.
Because they don't need their minds changed. They already know these things,
They can only make the difference happen so far. It's the people, everybody else.
We have to be allies. We have to be really strong allies. And quite frankly, I'm bored. I'm bored of seeing the same kind of stories with the same kind of people in them. A lot of times the same actors over and over again. I'm bored.
So were you behind, did you have anything to do with Mahal then?
I cast it.
Oh my God. Okay. Because I saw, if you say Ballywick, I saw that.
Yeah, I cast it.
And it was, it was about a Filipino-American family.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great.
Good. I'm so glad. My good friend, Danny Bernardo wrote that.
Yeah.
Who you also know.
Yeah. He was like a fifth or sixth. He was a guest on the show,
Yeah.
Between his writing being so good, and I loved his conversational writing, and him being a comic book geek. He had a great podcast.
Oh, yes, I'm sure.
But that was, I hadn't heard of, of just it was a Filipino story or a Filipino American story. But when you hear about that, anybody with, I don't know if I'm even saying correct terminology, but if it's like an Asian descent family, or any characters of that, I feel like when I see it in the theater world, it's usually some sort of traditionally garbed play
some sort
or period
of
stereotypical,
culture appropriated
that was
nonsense.
Just Americans who had, Filipino descendants who still, they brought that, the same, I'm Hispanic, so I still have family, that's so rooted in that, it was cool to see. That was a real play.
Well, and
it was great. The acting was so wonderful.
I always say it was like, I don't know if you watched Brothers and Sisters when it was on TV, but it reminded me of a Filipino Brothers and Sisters because it wasn't about them being Filipino. They just happened to be Filipino.
So what the hell happened? I hate to cut you off, but I want to make sure I'm totally diving into you. First things first, some of the things that you went through.
Yeah.
Casting, like what are the meanest things you've heard? You're in a room, you do your bit, you audition, and then they say what?
Well, it's not okay. So a lot of my comments were feedback I heard after the fact, or someone was trying to help. They're like, they're really interested in you, but they really want you to lose 20 pounds. So maybe if you tell them you're willing to lose 20 pounds, then you'll get the part. And that's actually worked for me a couple of times, Wow. So a lot of times it's people that are helping. I don't necessarily condemn the people that said those things. I condemn the atmosphere where those things are appropriate to be said and that they need to be said.
Yeah, to be
if that makes sense.
To be devil's advocate, is there ever an instance where, this character would be fit?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
absolutely.
then there's...
I think you always need to start with the text, and that I say that to a point in the blog, because let's go to the text. Does it say specifically is there a plot point that they need to be certain races? If we're doing ragtime, clearly the white people have to be white, the black people have to be black, the immigrants have to be whatever combination they decide to cast for that production. But if we're doing Next to Normal, for instance, I'm speaking in musicals right now. I apologize.
don't know that play.
Well, Next to Normal is just a dysfunctional family.
Okay.
That's all. That's it. And it is almost always, I would say 90% of the time, it is cast completely white.
Okay.
Why? All it is a family. It's not talking about race. It's not talking about anything. So go to the text. Does the love interest, does it say she's suffering from anorexia or that she's a soldier or something like that? Is there a specific reason
for her to be slim?
Then absolutely she needs to be slim. Okay. But we don't have to cast things a certain way just because they've been cast that way in the past.
Yeah.
Is how I feel about it.
And it sucks because if somebody's good, they're good.
Yeah.
You know, you look at Melissa McCarthy right now.
Sure.
She's huge, and I'm sure maybe some people consider it cute and funny that she's a bigger lady, but I don't know. When I see her, I haven't seen everything she's done, but the things that I've seen that I've actually enjoyed, she's
not making fun of herself.
She's good.
Yeah.
She is not making fun of herself.
Yeah.
She's not making fat jokes.
Exactly.
She's
a gorgeous woman.
Yeah.
She is
very,
beautiful.
very pretty, and she's just delivering the goods. I mean, she's so good at what she does. So it sucks because you can see when they allow it to happen and it's just based on talent.
Sure.
Well, look what happens. You can make a superstar.
Well, and that's...
Talent is talent, you know?
And I agree with that. Like, and casting, it's a little more complicated, and I did get some pushback for that because you can't just cast anyone in any role. You can't.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it has to do with a physical type or a racial type. I think it's more about chemistry between the actors. And it's more about the energy that they bring in the room. And if they're the right energy, if they have the right chemistry. But your physical, your body, your skin suit can be a lot of different types of things and still fit that energy and fit the chemistry of the show.
Oh man, good for you. I mean, and you're the right person. I mean, it's your little corner of the universe, but the fact that you're actually a casting director at the same time. Do you still cast for? I'm
not casting for Bailiwick Chicago currently. Okay. I just cast Xanadu at American Theater Company.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
I'm more
but you're in
freelancing
the casting
right now.
World.
Yeah.
I mean, at least you have a little bit of the power, but I like what you're doing because it's going to take more than just one person.
It takes more than me though, because I don't get the final say in anything. My job is to give them options. That's my job.
Oh,
here are your options. Now I can bring in a much more varied group of options, and hopefully that will change their minds and open them up a bit.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's those producers, it's the directors. I mean, that's kind of where the buck stops there.
Are you seeing, okay, because here's where we get into the nitty gritty of what you've accomplished. You've gotten worldwide attention. Worldwide attention.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, I reached out to you so soon for this, and I thought, I wonder if I would have called her 5 days later or a week later, I don't know. I mean, who knows? Maybe she wouldn't be available for something like that. Yeah, but I mean, you were selective about who read your blog. So, listeners, where is there a place where they could find your blog right now? Anybody listening to this?
It's completely open now.
Okay.
I went through my friends convinced me to open it up.
Where would they go?
On Facebook.
Where would listeners go?
They would go to withharmony.org.
Withharmony.org. Okay. Mm-hmm. And do you have a number of blogs on that site, or
that's my blog, and then my actor site is harmonyfrance.com.
What would the what's this blog called? What's the title?
It's called With Harmony.
It's called With Harmony. No, I meant this actual piece.
Oh! It's called on the blog it's called Do Better.
Okay, nice.
On Huffington Post it's called You're Not Believable as a Love Interest.
My God, and let's go to that one because to me, out of everything that was said, for some reason, I mean, it's just tough when somebody says, "Look slimmer." Look prettier, but somebody actually said you're not getting this role because you're not believable. As a love interest.
I've actually had numerous instances of that, and I
that makes zero sense to me.
And once, this is the thing, I'm an editor. When I write a blog, I edit and I edit and I edit, and this went viral so fast that I wasn't able to clarify some of my thoughts, so I had to just kind of leave it alone. I have played the love interest many times.
Yeah.
So people have seen it that way, but the thought that some of these casting directors and directors are so
focused on the image they want.
So focused on the image that they would say, I'm not believable, like, ever? Really? I mean, maybe not for this story. I might not be appropriate. I might not fit the leading man. There's a lot that goes into casting.
I suppose, but that wording, and again, this is more your world. It just makes so much more sense to say, you're not right for the role, characteristically what we're looking for, but to say you're not a believable love interest, that phrase is kind of messed up.
Well,
you know?
and they think they're helping you. One of the instances.
Well, what makes somebody a believable love? Did they say like, now this is what you should do for us to think someone would love you?
No,
like,
no, because
what's the answer?
In acting, we have what we call types.
Okay.
And that means if you look this way, then you're an ingenue, and you will be the love interest. If you look this way, then you're like the funny fat friend, or if you look this way, you can play witches. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of uncreative thinking in this creative field when it comes to casting. And I'm not in a position that I can really affect it yet, but I hope to one day be in a position where I can shake this up a bit, and I honestly, my experience, and I am speaking specifically about musical theater. Okay. And it has hit a lot of chords with people people in Hollywood have reached out to me, different thing, not about anything like exciting, just other actors. So it's reached a lot of.
It has reached the Hollywood community, though.
Oh yeah, it has. But me specifically, my experience is in musical theater because it's so limited. There's these tropes. Like if you're a woman, you're either the ingenue, you're the whore, you're the mother, or you're the hag. Like these are the options. Like, these are the roles in musical
Welcome to
theater.
Your world. Get into theater, folks.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Theater is a little more varied than that. But if you're lucky, then you get to play a role that combines two of those archetypes in some way. But even these phenomenal roles in musical theater, like let's look at Evita, such an incredible role. But the rest of the cast is men. So there's that one great female role. And my friends and I, we call that kind of instance a bloodbath. We'll be like, oh, that's going to be a bloodbath. Because there are more women than men in theater, and there are less roles. Oh, man. So
that's a true fact.
That is a absolute 100% true fact. There are more actresses than actors. I happen to like the term actress. I know a lot of feminists don't. So
I know. I never know what to say.
No, I like it because I think I've reclaimed it because we have to do so much more.
I like to know what you know what, folks, I mean, I don't know, from an entertainment standpoint, I just like a description to know what I'm getting into. If somebody says, oh, you should hear this song by this female vocalist or hear this song by this male vocalist, I like knowing. I like it all. And I think I never understood what's wrong.
I'm proud of being
an actress.
It's
cool.
Yeah, I like it.
I think it's just, and again, I think that's why your message is working and maybe others don't always work, because I think there's that line where you can be passionate about something, even if it's a correct message. Mm-hmm. If you're overly passionate to where you make a few blunders, and the blunders I'm talking about are the ones that just go too far and almost off point. To me, like, actor, actress, how dare you? Like, well, wait, come on.
I mean, I have some friends that feel pretty strongly about it, but for me personally, I've reclaimed the term.
Yeah,
and
I love it.
It means what I want it to mean.
Yeah, I just don't know if it. Yeah, but I just feel like that's a fight. I think your fight is so much more serious because your fight is going directly to the people, where that's a title and it's not even one.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, nobody's ever belittled like, oh, she's just an actress. Like, what? No.
I just get called out on it sometimes, so I wanted to give that little side note. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But so actresses will...
You have like weird, unintentional targets on your chest from this thing, don't you? Like, where it shouldn't even, some people think you're fishing, or some people think they're finding the wrong. I hate when that happens, because I read it and I saw one message.
I'm so glad you saw the message I intended.
Yeah, but then some people see all the tiny things.
Well, and not everyone reads the article. They'll read or they'll skim like a tiny bit of it and then be like, oh, well, maybe she's not talented, maybe that's why she's not getting roles, or whatever they want to write, and I'm like, oh, that's not even what the article's about.
I was impressed enough with what the article said, but then again, when you mentioned the line, I'm doing fine, like letting us know that you're working.
Oh.
That you're, it's just, I don't know, that even solidified it more with me. Sure. I read it, and then in my car, I like just I copied the whole or highlighted the whole thing. I didn't even know you could do this, but on the phone, on the iPhone, you can press the speak button. So I read it, and then while driving, after reading it, I got in the car and I was on my way to a gig, and then this is how the theater world should be run. Like you sound like a robot, but I read it and then listened to it, and it was
fun.
Oh man! So one day, you're realizing all this stuff because you're on both ends. You've been in front of the firing line as an actress auditioning, and then you've also been casting. So sometimes you're winning that fight, sometimes you're against the grain, I imagine. But one day, what the hell? What happened? It's
a normal day. I talk like this every day.
So this,
I talk like this every day.
So it wasn't like, no, today I'm going to reach the world. This was just a normal...
It was a little longer than I think my rants normally are.
But it was just a normal day.
And I attached it to a photo, so that made it, a little... But yeah, no, you're going to ask I drive everyone nuts. I rant about misogyny, and it's a daily thing for me. So no, it was a complete surprise.
Good for you then, because like law of averages was on your side.
I guess.
And it's a good, I mean, how do you feel? Is it weird that, so this is where it gets strange, folks, because these podcasts end up being kind of timeless. However, we're getting into Oscar season, and I read your article. Yeah. I saw your article go everywhere, and now all of a sudden the diversity argument in the Oscars, which it gets brought up in the Oscars.
It's been there.
But it just seems more intensified this year.
I think there's a lot of problems. I think there are definitely movies this year that should have been considered for something.
Yeah.
But like I remember last year when Selma got snubbed, and that just... And again, like I can't tell someone how to vote, but the main problem is not that. The main problem is that I read a statistic. I don't know if this is completely right. I think that the Academy is like 94% white and like 76% male or something like that. So the people that are voting, hello.
Yeah.
And then, so that's one problem. And then another problem is that there's not enough variety. They should have 30 movies with people of color in it to choose from, rather than like 4 or 5.
And the actual people voting. I mean, those statistics.
Yeah.
To me.
And the president is a black woman, and I mean, she's put out a statement. And
I read
they're
hers.
Trying to increase diversity, and I think they're in.
Well, because it's at some point you can't even always blame that, even from like a prejudice standpoint. Even though I'm sure prejudice is still very firmly footed, but at the same time, if it's 90% or 96% white, even let's say half of those people have some level of prejudice in their bloodstream, right, in their mindset. But even the half that doesn't, it may just be that they're white and they look at white movies.
Well, exactly.
So
but
without the diversity, you don't even have that option. Even if prejudice isn't even a factor, like you need the diversity in there because maybe an African American who happens to love both is gonna look a little closer at an African American movie just because that feels more like home.
Sure,
this looks like my family.
See themselves in it.
Yeah.
But there are two kinds of racism. So those
numbers don't give you any help at all. That's such an odd number, and that's such an unfair number. Yeah, they need to fix that.
But there's active racism, and then there's like what you're speaking about. It's like insidious racism, where it's just built into us. Like I'm part racist. We all are. Uh-huh. You know what I mean?
You know who's saying that? Dustin Hoffman was just talking about that.
One of my blogs is about that. It's called "I'm a Racist," and it is
wow. Because
even though I fight for, I've been an activist since I was 15 years old, in some way or another, about fighting for minorities or my gay friends or just whatever. Even though I have all of that, I still have these built-in things that society has
from the world
conditioned.
It's messed up
in me. I'm also a misogynist.
Yeah,
I'm a misogynist. I'm a racist. I'm a homophobe. I'm all of these things. Even though you would never think that, and I don't think I'm the normal definition of that.
You are not.
No, but it's in all of us. But our job is not to be like, no, it's not, and to like, I'm not a misogynist. had to hear that every day from from my posts. I'm like, well, okay, great, but it's not to argue.
Yeah,
it's to find our own privilege and to find our own entitlement and to fight it every day.
Wow, that's
so
awesome.
that we can be better people.
Well, I can't help but wonder if the latest sort of the latest movement in Hollywood hasn't somehow been slightly influenced by your article.
No,
I wonder, just because the timing is a little strange to me.
The timing is, but the same thing happened last year at the last year Oscars.
Yeah, nobody was boycotting, you know.
I don't think they were boycotting, but I believe that hashtag Oscars So White, I believe is what it is, started last year.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Because this is the second year in the row.
The timing is strange because I read your article, and it's not that I read your article and nobody else did.
Power.
Well, I read your article, and then every time I've peeked at it before having you here, I see another publication, and again, it's not like, well, Mom, George's paper in Podunk, Ohio. It's not your readership 3, me and my mom and dad. Like these are NewYorkTimes.com.
Yeah,
that's huge. Huffington Post, that's huge. Yeah. So it's Huffington Post might actually in the creative circles, they might even get more readers from like a Hollywood standpoint than a New York Times. So you never, but you're on both anyway.
I almost said no. I came very close.
Why?
It's what we were speaking of before. I did research. I wasn't just going to say yes without doing research. And just women that have been harassed and bullied. And like I said, that's why I took my photo down and replaced it with the one that you like that isn't quite as suggestive. And I also, you can choose where in Huffington Post you want it posted.
Oh.
And I put the arts because they wanted to put it like, they had suggested putting it under like politics and women and stuff, and I was like, that opens it up to a whole.
Yeah.
So I did a couple of tiny things to protect myself.
For you.
I also started a professional Facebook page because I was getting so many Facebook requests, friend requests and stuff, and I was like, I don't want them in my life.
Well,
like I don't know.
I mean,
I'm sure they're lovely, but I don't know.
Within days, because that's where I saw you and found you, and within days of the first message I sent you on Facebook about this, and thanks for doing this, by the way.
Oh my gosh, I'm just pleased. Thank you.
When you said yes, and then we spoke on the phone, days later, and I tried to get in that, those 3 minutes just to make sure I'm not bringing a crazy person into my podcast.
Yeah.
You quickly said, make sure you just text message, and you gave me your number. You said to text message you the information because at some point you might miss a message in Facebook. It sounded like even within days, your messages on Facebook were just overwhelming.
I turned off all of my notifications for everything, for text messages, for emails, for because I don't want to say this was negative because it was a very positive thing, but I'm actually writing a blog right now about kind of what I've learned from it.
Oh, great.
And one of the things that I've learned from it is there are actually scientific studies that say when you get a like on one of your posts on Facebook, it releases dopamine into your brain.
No way.
Yeah, like it releases, pleasure into your brain. So imagine that multiplied by just tens of thousands. Like, I'm not a heavy drug user, but I really think this is what being on cocaine feels like because I was in this hyperactive daze. Like I was distracted. I couldn't string two thoughts together. Like it was just really interesting. And I had kind of hid in my apartment for a couple of days, to be honest.
No kidding.
I did. It was so odd to have that many people responding to me and trying to get in touch with me and messaging me, and mostly positive. I would say 90% positive reaction. And I'm like hiding under 3 blankets in my bedroom.
Fascinating me right now. I mean, because I think about the people who I've talked to people who there's a thing that happens when they get 25 likes or, hey man, I can't believe this picture got 100 likes. And there's a level of satisfaction. I've also talked to people who mentioned, I put this thing up. I mean, nobody even liked it. Like, wow, that's like they're really... But there's something even biological at play.
It's actually
holy
chemical.
crap!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Well, at least, that seems to be, I mean, it still seems damaging, but a safer drug than most, I suppose.
I had a meeting
Weird.
one of those nights for a project, and my best girlfriend was there, and I kept like, I don't know, I felt like, have you seen Up? The Pixar movie Up, it's like squirrel. Like that's how I felt. Like everything was distracting me. I couldn't.
Man.
I was so overstimulated. And this past weekend, I turned all my devices off. I think I got on Facebook maybe once a day.
Sure.
And I didn't do anything this last week. Like just a couple days ago, I just did nothing. I think I like sorted my room a little bit, and I needed that. I needed the calm down because it was a ride.
I mean, that again, I think that gives more stock to the message, because that just shows me and anybody listening to this even more so how you were doing it for the right reason. You weren't doing it for attention, because the attention obviously became overwhelming, and you're like, no, it's just wait.
I wasn't with that kind of thing. I mean, I talk about body positivity a lot on my wall, and I talk about feminism, and I support Hillary Clinton, and I do all these things on my wall that maybe other people don't do. So people are used to that from me, and I do have a certain group of followers that kind of follow what I do.
And they're in.
Yeah, and they're in. And so it was like, it's going to be a post that, and I didn't think about it this way, but if I had, it would have been a post that maybe got, 50 likes or something like that. You know what I mean? So, and I kept fighting making it more public.
Really?
I kept trying to figure ways to keep it more private.
So why was that? Because you felt so strongly about the message, just knowing the badness that can come with it.
When it's public, your family can see it. Your boss can see it. You know what I mean? You're opening yourself up to a lot. And like I said, that first photo was fairly suggestive, and I just felt more exposed than I've ever felt in my life, which I think is totally worth it, because I think that so many people got the message and received it well and shared their stories with me. And
really?
Oh yeah. So I think it was a catharsis for a lot of people. So I'm so glad it went that way. But like I said, I consider myself a very privately open person. And I'm glad that if something was going to go viral, it's that, because that I feel very strongly about that.
Yeah.
But it's still, there are things I would change. There's things I would edit here and there, or I would clarify a point. Or
is there anything you'd want to clarify right here and now?
I think the main thing is just what I spoke to, that it's not about me. Yeah. I know my picture's there, and I say what has happened to me, and then I do the declaration at the end. I will not lose weight for you. That whole thing. Cool. And I think that's part of why it got as much attention as it did. But,
I want my body back. I think you said something along those lines. I said,
I'm taking my body back. It
was good though, man. I know. It worked out. I mean, I heard even the second time when I heard it in robotic, dramatic. I am taking my body back. I'm like, you take your body back. Take it back, lady I've not met yet, and I'm just hearing in robotic iPhone voice, take it back.
Oh my gosh.
If I could find it, I would grab it and give it to you right back. I would give you your body. Seriously, man, it was good. So
good,
I
and
haven't
I'm
read
glad.
the other.
And I am glad, but I want the takeaway to be that middle section where I talk about, look at the text. Can you possibly cast someone in a different race? Then try to.
Okay, do you hear this, people?
That part.
That's what she's focusing on. That's what people read the article. But if you're in the world of casting in any area of artistry, listen to the message. Does the text fit? Quit thinking. And that's the problem, though. We live in a pretty world.
Sure.
As far as that stuff goes, it's
but
a
we're
fantasy.
In Chicago.
I'm in this corporate band, and I know they would rather not, but the competition is stiff. I happen to have this amazing manager that we're doing very well,
Good.
But I do know that they don't try to push for it, but they do know that if the band members, or the front people are a little more attractive, they know that that's going to give them an edge above the competition. And it's so tough. It's tough when it becomes...
But attractive doesn't come in one body shape.
There you go. Yeah, man.
Okay, and I cast, and that is, mostly you're not going to see unattractive people on stage, because that is part of it. But like I said with Melissa McCarthy, she's Have you ever actually looked at her dressed up and not like done up in her weird like character costumes?
She's very pretty.
She's a gorgeous woman. Mm-hmm. So I guess I just feel like we need to redefine what's universally attractive. And obviously, that's a mountain to climb. But
even just giving it, then we're getting it back to the bare necessities, just the bare boned essentials of talent, of accessibility, what is somebody good at? What can they put out there? Mm-hmm. Which I like that, because then, that's supposed to be what this is all about anyway.
Well, this is Chicago.
We're turning it into this flashy, pretty package when, come on, there's so much more to that. And then we're gonna lose. Everybody, the consumers are going to lose, and the people, the higher ups are going to lose, because both parties are never going to realize, the treasures that aren't being unearthed by not doing this. You know what I mean?
Well, and this isn't Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's not Broadway, even though I think those things should change too. This is Chicago. We are known for gritty, real theater. We're supposed to be these innovators, and I feel like we are in so many ways. And we are so uncreative in our casting.
Wow. Yeah.
In a creative field, we are so uncreative.
And you're right, because it's not Broadway. It is a successful theater world here, because I've been delving more into it over the last 5 years, and it's so great. Man, I've enjoyed the smaller.
We have a vibrant storefront community.
Man, it is so great. Vibrant. People come to Chicago for theater.
Yeah.
That is not. I don't have a pony in this race, so I'm just saying it because I've enjoyed it. I've seen the bigger. I loved Lion King when I saw it. I love the grandiose. The Lion King was one of the most amazing things I've ever.
It's a spectacle show.
It is so amazing.
Your senses are just.
But I saw The Color Purple, and I thought,
oh, you saw it at the Mercury.
My God, I thought it was
fantastic. Wonderful.
I tell people The Color Purple and The Lion King are my two all-time favorite musicals that I've seen. I've only seen maybe 10.
Did you see The Color Purple downtown, or did you see it?
I saw it at the Mercury.
Yeah, that was filled with my buddies.
Really?
Filled.
JC Brooks was in that too, wasn't he?
No, he was in Desirose with
Desirose with you, yeah. So guest number one, who by the way is still like the number one downloaded podcast.
Of course he is. JC Brooks.
JC Brooks, man, he knows what he's talking about. But anyway, you've worked with him before. But those are my two personal favorite plays, and they couldn't be more different from one another as far as scale goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, come to Chicago, because it's amazing, and it is true. Like you can be more down to earth.
Well, and don't just go to those Broadway tours, because they're great. I'm not putting them down, but
you're missing out.
The homegrown talent
missing out
is so incredible, and that's why I was so excited. Have you heard about Hamilton at all?
Holy cow! Talk to the world about Hamilton right now, because that's getting a lot of attention.
Well, and also they are practicing what I'm talking about,
and that's coming to Chicago, isn't it?
We are getting our own Chicago show.
Okay.
So it is a sit down, and the press release, it said something to the effect of, we will stay at the pleasure of the audience, which to me means as long as it's selling, they're going to stay. And we had.
Do you know where they're going to be?
Oh my goodness. I don't remember the specific.
So Hamilton is the story of.
Hamilton is the story of Andrew Hamilton.
Okay.
But
the historical figure, not
the historical figure, on the $10 bill.
Yeah.
And Lin-Manuel Miranda, who was the book and lyricist and composed a lot of the music, he devised it. He was inspired to cast it with a completely multi-ethnic cast.
Wow.
So all of these people, George Washington, Alexander Hamilton, Andrew Burr, I believe that's his name, all of them are played by people of color.
No way. Okay.
So it's also a hip hop musical. It's not all hip hop. There's some ballads in there and stuff, but it's traditional. It's hip hop.
Yeah.
And so it's so exciting. To me, what's the most exciting thing about it is because it's hip hop, you can get so many more words per minute in. Mm-hmm. So we're getting such a detailed story. And I'm a history nerd too. So this just combines all the things I like. But anyway, they're doing a production in Chicago, and they're casting in Chicago. And that is rare for us actors to have the people from New York, these big, great jobs, like they don't always come to Chicago. A lot of times they'll go to New York and LA or just New York, and they kind of skip over us. It's just exciting to me because that's what I wish a lot of shows would do and a lot of theaters would do, is take something that maybe is traditional and rethink it, or again, go back to the text. Go to the text. And now Lin-Manuel actually wrote it to be this way. Like, it's supposed to be people of color. Like, that's how he envisioned it.
Yeah.
But I love that.
Man, and it's getting a lot of attention.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
it's
a lot of
breaking
attention.
all the records. Yeah.
So, and what I like is that now I've seen you basically say, after your post, whenever I would peek at your Facebook, you were telling people, audition. You were telling people, like locals, get in on this right now.
Yeah, I didn't want people to miss out.
Yeah,
because we have so much talent here, and I just want to make sure. I'm sure some people in the show are going to be from New York, but I just really hope a lot of them are from Chicago.
We're going to take the quick eye blink for everybody. So a quick pause, and then we'll be right back. Hold on. And then we're going to get into your story. I want to hear the Navy actress, everything. All right back. 1 second. That was the eye blink. You guys know how it goes. 2 seconds for you guys and like 8 minutes for us. We played ping pong and we did some yoga. And I've never done yoga. I can't lie. I want to. Do you ever do yoga?
I'm more aggressive than that.
Are you like a cardio kickbox girl?
I'm really not anything right now,
okay.
But I do like that kind of thing. Yeah. Like more physical.
Because I was actually trained in the martial arts for a long time.
Not that yoga isn't physical, it is. I don't want to.
Now you're in this realm, like everything I say.
I know. One of my best friends.
Oh, well, we love her message, but she doesn't like yoga. Oh, we see how it is now. Like, no,
I just want to punch something. You know, like
man. Yeah, no. I stumbled on this like one of those cardio kickbox classes, and they adjust the martial arts moves a little bit to make them a little more aerobic-y. But I just do the actual form. And man, I love it because it works those same muscles. Mm-hmm. And you know what's strange is I don't see a lot of guys in those classes. It's mostly, maybe there's 3 of us and there's like 25 girls.
And all the dudes are lifting.
The dudes don't realize that, because I do that and then I'll lift on a different day. But guys don't realize how great that workout is. Like, it's just an overall body workout, and man, it just gets the aggression out. But it's strange because everywhere I've ever gone, it's always been so girl heavy. So there's always that one point where I'm like really into it. I'm throwing my 40th punch, and at some point, just because that's all you really see, the instructor will be like, "All right, ladies, let's." I'm like, "Wait." I'm like, "You know how it is, girls." I'm like, "But so it's always a little weird.
That's okay.
Yeah. That's every once in a while they look at me.
You can be the minority sometimes.
Yeah. Oh,
it's all right.
Oh, dude, I ran into racism and stuff like that more when I was a kid.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because I am caramel.
Yes.
So there was, I haven't seen it. The arts, at least, it sucks that the casting gets a little weird, but the community isn't as bad. At least where a lot of times where I the actual people in the trenches, it's kind of nice, because you love what you see and you love what you get, But real quick, I want to backtrack because now we know to go to it's mentioned where they can see the blog again.
Okay, it's at withharmony.org.
Yeah, so go there, look at her picture, try to visualize what the other picture was, and like, I wonder. Everyone's going to wonder now.
Oh, it's all over Facebook.
Oh, that one too?
If you try hard enough, you can
there
find
you go.
it.
But read what she wrote. It's really, really good. But now I want to get into this whole naval base actress. So where'd you grow up?
Oh boy. Okay. Well, I was born in Palo Alto, California.
Wow. Where is that?
It is kind of near San Francisco.
Okay.
But before I was 5, we had lived in Miami, Virginia,
and
then
military family?
Hippies.
Oh.
And then
okay.
And so by the time I was 5, we were in Manhattan.
Wow.
I stayed in New York till I was 14, I think. And in that time, I lived in 10 different places.
Man.
I could list them off, but it's rather boring. Everywhere from Long Island to Woodstock. And then we moved to Georgia. And
I guess I should have just asked, where haven't you been?
Yeah, that might have worked better. Wow. Then we moved to Georgia. Then they moved to St. Louis, and I was like, I'm done with this moving thing.
Yeah.
So I went to college. I skipped my senior year, and at 15, I went to study opera at Brenau University.
When did the bug hit you
Gainesville,
for
Georgia.
singing then? How old were you when you realized you wanted to sing? Or
I would say when I was 14, I went and saw Les Mis on Broadway. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that story, that you see that one show and you get the bug. And, then I never stopped. Like, I was doing every play I could find and got voice lessons and went into chorus and choir. Just, you know, you want to just do it every second. Okay. So that's what happened to me.
Oh, man. Yeah. So then how'd you end up in Chicago?
Okay, so let's see. We're in Georgia.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Were you in the Navy before Chicago?
I was.
All right, tell me. Yeah.
So we're in Georgia. I'm at Brenau University in Gainesville, Georgia.
All right.
Studying opera, and then I realized I hated it. Love opera, just not me in it.
Okay.
And then I went home to St. Louis for a year to figure out what the heck I was going to do. And
By the way, I love that you're a professional spouter of disclaimers now, because you've lived in this world and you've been like, everything's been, I totally want to like follow you on like a date. Like, well, yeah, I mean, you seem relatively nice. Not that you're not nice, but you seem nice.
I'm also a Libra.
Really?
So I'm constantly.
I don't know what that means. I'm not.
Our sign is the scales.
Okay.
So we're constantly balancing.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm a Scorpio. Does that mean I like cookies, or I'm eating chocolate chip cookies right now?
You know, I will get you in touch with my friend Sydney Charles. She'll tell you all about being a Scorpio.
Oh man,
that's you saw her. She was in Desirose. She played Desirose.
Oh wow!
Right?
Smallest, yeah, she's wow. Okay.
Yeah, she's wonderful. So
is she working a lot too? And is life good for her these days? Is she?
Oh, she's a badass. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, she.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, so how old were you when you stopped doing opera?
I was at Brenau because I turned 16 like a couple months after I got to school. So I was technically 16 for that first year. So I joined.
In college, you were 16?
Yeah, I was 15 actually when I first got there.
Man.
Yeah.
Wait, you were like in a dorm and everything, or no?
Yeah, I got
16.
I got a full ride music scholarship. I don't know. I hesitate to use these kind of terms, but I had some sort of vocal prodigy thing going on.
Oh, great.
I think it was that my voice in opera, your voice doesn't really technically mature into the opera voice until you're much older, and mine was just a little ahead of its age or something like that.
Nice.
You know, as far as maturity. So they went a little nuts over me, which was great because I got college money and my family didn't have much money at the time.
Yeah.
But then we've talked about it. The restrictions on you, and I mean, I was a teenager. So
you were saying, you told me this off the mic, like when you're going through that type of training, they say you cannot sing anything else. Like it is.
When I was studying, and I wanted to go like sing with a rock band, so I was not a good opera student.
Oh wow.
So I left that school. I went home for a year and took like general studies at a community college, and then on a whim, which is how I make most of my big life decisions. Like I will stress out over whether to use like a red pen or a blue pen, but on a whim, I joined the Navy.
What whim? Like you went swimming and you thought, well, this seems like a fun job.
I
like,
was walking through the mall and there was a recruiter.
You gotta be kidding me.
That is literally what happened. And at the time, it was before 9/11.
Okay.
So it wasn't a big deal. Like you join the military, you get your GI Bill, then you have college money. Because I didn't have college money.
How tough was like boot camp? Like the first?
Oh, it was rough.
So tell me, when you're making a choice like that on a whim, but then you end up like with your face in the dirt and you're crawling, and then whatever else you have to do, like swim with the octopus, whatever you have to do. I don't know. But I mean, at some point, were you like, oh wait, bad whim, like, or were you in it?
I mean, you have to understand, boot camp is meant to completely break you down.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of it, is to break you down physically, emotionally, and mentally so they can build you back up. So,
but that's why I asked, because that doesn't seem like, if something's decided on a whim and then suddenly you're into this, we're going to break your spirit and body, like.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's a combination of things. I mean, everyone cried every day at the end of every day. You'd hear people crying in their beds, because
even the drill sergeants, that would have been awesome.
No, I'm sure they were fine.
That was really hard on that recruit.
But they kept putting me in charge of things. They have all of these pretend
because you had a commanding opera voice.
Well, yeah. So I would literally be we'd be running and I'd be the one, 1, 2. Doing all that stuff,
Oh God! You made me kind of want to march. So I like the authority in your voice.
That's the point.
Oh my gosh!
But yeah, so they would mess with you. They'd tell you could do something.
Are you in a relationship right now?
I am not. No.
Oh man, whenever you are, you have the upper hand because of your tone. I don't know you.
Well, that's part of the
well.
problem.
Really, because you have a very sweet demeanor. You're a pretty girl, but as soon as you do that again.
Want you?
Yeah, see, that makes me want to move. I think I would just unconsciously, if you told me pick up the socks or whatever, I'd be like, I just cleaned my entire place.
I can confidently say I terrify most men.
Oh, I don't know, man. I just wanted. I found myself wanting to serve.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was cool. You know what you need to do? We've just learned something. See, I'm here to help. Okay. Now you know that if you go into that tone, you're good to go.
Oh, that's
kiss me. You're all right. I found myself. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, trust me. I'm the receptor here. I'm the receiver. So I'm telling you, I think you've just realized your superpower.
Well,
military voice. Just switch there when you need something.
Sure, but I was also in the military for 6 years. So unfortunately, I am attracted to a very, very alpha man.
Oh, okay.
Which
no shortage of those guys in this town.
Oh, there is in theater.
Oh, of course. Yes, you are correct. Yeah, I had a good friend of mine, Sammy Mikulski. Was, oh my gosh, she I think she ran a community theater out of a high school, and every time I went to see the community theater, and it was in Northwest Indiana, it was it was too good.
Yeah.
They did chess, and I remember looking at it thinking this is beyond, this shouldn't be here. Well, her and her husband Rob Mikulski, who also was brilliant, they ended up being at the forefront of AIDA, so it showed.
Yeah.
But they put me, I was so far from being a theater guy, and they put me in this Broadway review at the Star Plaza Theater with Charlie Blum, who was a guest on here, and I was a band guy, but I'm a very mobile band guy, and they thought if we took band guy with his voice and had him sing Jesus Christ Superstar,
oh yeah,
but surrounded him with dancers, and if he didn't do the choreography,
if we hid him with people.
No, what they did was they liked the way I moved.
Okay.
And because I was on a lot of big stages, so I was jumping on things, and they thought, what fun if we put him smack dab in the middle of all this choreography, and he could play with those dancers. He'd know where they're going to land, because I had dancers flying toward me and stuff.
Oh, that sounds fun.
It ended up being an absolute blast. However, I remember, and I was working on Chicago radio at the time, and the preliminary rehearsals I couldn't make because I was on the air. The first time I had just learned my stuff, off site, and then the first time I showed up, it was quite an experience. Well, for one thing, it was some of the most beautiful people I'd ever seen,
Sure.
And the professional dancers, I'm a leg man, so if you have nice thighs, it works for me very well.
Okay, that's good.
I'm seeing all this stuff, and then I sing my little part, and I seem to attract a lot of attention, and I didn't realize at first. I thought, I'm not that good looking. I don't think I'm bad looking, but I'm not this good looking for this attention. And then I realized very quickly the combination of, he's a band guy. He plays in smoky rooms. I think there was something there.
There's a musician thing.
But also he'll like us. He likes women because most of the guys I was working with in that world for the Broadway review, they were gay men, and so.
Well, I mean, the reason for that is because men, it goes back to gender roles, because most boys, when they're growing up, unless they ask their parents, they're not going to put them into dance or something like that. So a lot of the dancers do end up being gay just because, the straight boys went and played football or whatever. Because there isn't a lack of talent there in the straight community. It's just, it wasn't developed.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a
So
lot
it was
of
an
instances.
interesting world. It was great for me because
Sure.
I really got to.
No, there's plenty of straight men, but it's also there's definitely a shortage, and it's just when for me, the people that I grew up dating and the guys that I were around were just very
Butch and
very
alpha.
Macho. Yes,
that's
very
that's
alpha.
your guy, which is kind of cool because
Maybe.
for you to say you have all these rants every most often, like I love the fact that this blog was just it's just another day. I'm more impressed that you didn't decide I have to change the world, no, today I'm saying this, and then all of a sudden the world took notice.
Yeah, I mean it definitely was probably a little more impassioned than I
Sure.
normally am,
but you have a very sweet demeanor to you. From what I'm seeing here, I like the way you're looking at me oh, you have no idea. I'll rip your throat out if you. But
I am a sharpshooter.
Yeah, is that what you did in the Navy?
No, but I was trained on it.
Oh, you're so cool to me. All right. So anyway, all right. So naturally, you need a man. It's not that's your preference, but also you need somebody who can hang with you, man, because
Sure.
you have this theatrical side too. That's an artistic side.
It's a tall
but you
order.
can kill a mofo if you have to. You've been trained. Not that
I've
you
been
prefer
trained.
that, but you know how. You know that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I know you now. You're on my side. I hope.
I never talk about this. I'm
This
surprised
is
you got me
awesome.
to talk
okay,
about
so
it.
let's see. You go through
People
the boot
ask
camp.
me all the time, why aren't you dating? I'm like,
It's an alpha dude.
it's that. It's
Well, it's
also
everything. There's
It's a
gotta
lot
be.
of things.
Yeah.
It's I'm trying to build my career. It's just not something I'm interested in right now.
Yeah. It can get in the way.
Which is not a real answer to people when you say that.
That sucks,
When you're
really.
I actually am really, really happy and I really
it's okay
love
to
being single.
And it's all right to prioritize things.
Sure. And
You know?
honestly, I'm not even just blowing sunshine up your ass. Ooh, yay, I cursed.
Finally, I first.
Finally, he got
Curse
me.
word
He got
of
me
the
to say
episode.
something.
Sure.
I never talk about this because I just don't think. I think it's kind of an obnoxious. I don't mean this to you, but
no.
why is that what we always ask
Right.
women? Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And men too.
Yeah, I ask everybody, but I can't. I think I was asking just because I'd like you
Sure.
to use
Well,
your superpower.
we're going through everything.
No, but you went to the hood. And I thought, oh my god, if you have a boyfriend and you haven't used that voice to get him to do something, then you should. So that's basically where my question
it's
stems
just
from.
how people, especially women that are getting to a certain age,
Yeah.
are you gonna have children?
Yeah, that's
are you gonna
stupid
get
too,
married?
right.
Do
So
you have a
somehow,
boyfriend yet?
somebody's reached 30 and they're
Like
not
you're
with someone, they're
lesser
a
than.
failure. Like, screw that.
Yeah.
Because, guess what? My mom is on her third marriage, and the third marriage stuck perfectly. So, and
Okay.
she didn't find that guy till she was probably 50. Maybe she was over 50.
I also
she
see
found,
a lot of not great relationships.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's the thing. It's like there's no.
I'm not interested in that.
Yeah,
I'd
so-
rather be alone than to settle or.
We're back to stupid society.
We are
saying
back to
this is
stupid-
when
we are.
you should be
We're
here.
back to society.
This is when you
We are
should
back
be
to the
there.
man.
Yeah.
We are back to the patriarchy.
The man.
Don't get me started.
We're fighting the man.
Yep.
Well, whoever that guy is, we're gonna
We
fight
don't
him.
like
and-
him.
Yeah. God, what a jerk.
He is a jerk. If that was one guy, maybe it's Donald Trump.
You think so?
Is he that guy?
I don't know if he's a man so much as a cartoon character
Yeah.
to me. Is he real? Like,
I don't know. I know. When do we have to start taking him seriously?
I'm a little afraid.
I am a little
when I
afraid,
see the
too.
numbers, I'm like, oh no, is this going to be a thing?
I still like to think that most people have common sense and that most people are logical humans, but I don't know. We're just gonna have to wait and see.
I don't ever get political on this thing,
Yeah.
but it scares me to think that there's potential for our world politically to become a reality show. That scares the crap out of me, and that's kind of
And
where.
it's kind of what it's heading
Yeah,
towards.
yeah. I've never realized that. I'm not a fan of reality shows, but it's never.
I like the cooking ones.
Oh yeah. I don't know if that like they it's
When
too
they're
bad
actually
they,
making
Yeah, they
something.
categorize it, but I guess. All right, maybe I should say like the goofy human drama
Oh,
reality
no, me
shows
neither.
where it's like, let's get some damaged people, put a camera on them. This is going to be great.
They're also taking jobs away from actors that could be in real programming
Yeah,
that was going on during
it's like,
that time.
It's more interesting to me that why don't you write about some damaged characters and see how well you portray them, and meanwhile, let's take the real damaged characters and try to undamage them. Let's not put them on a pedestal in the camera. Now you're a celebrity, because then you're just going to continue to be damaged.
Yeah.
We live in this weird culture where some people are celebrities just because they made sex tapes.
It's
They have like
obnoxious.
no talent because any animal can have sex, but oh yeah.
Well, and even with my thing, you can't help but feel a little bit like a fraud. Like, even though I fully believe what I wrote and everything, for anything to get that widespread, it just feels a little, why me? Wait, what's happening? You know?
I mean, I'll give you this. I don't know if anyone's told you this or not, but there was just an honesty to the piece, you know, and I think something.
That's kind of how I roll.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think so. I think when, just like if I'm singing a song that nobody really knows, I was kind of trained to put some emotional content into it. And then some of my peers will wonder, like, well, would you sing this weird, obscure thing, yet people seem to ask for that one again? I think it's what you put into it. And I think honesty and, you know, sometimes rises to the top when it comes to putting your ideas out there. And it just felt very real. It felt real, and it was just so well done. It didn't go off the rails. And I think, unfortunately, when someone's passionate and honest about a message, there's too much room to go off the rails.
They need editing.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And it didn't go off the rails. So I think it was a perfect storm for you. So, it's no wonder. And that's why you're in my living room.
Yeah. It's a very nice living room.
But, okay. So the Navy thing.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So Navy.
So you're in there, and boot camp did not throw you away. You were just like, no, I'm in it.
It was hard. I mean, it's one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life.
On a whim. And you still went through it.
Well, you can get kicked out, but once you sign the dotted line, I mean, it's
harder to quit, huh?
Well, you can't quit. You can technically, I shouldn't tell everyone this, but you can technically kind of quit during boot camp, I would say. Yeah. The first 8 months, unless this has changed since I've been out, because I've been out for 10 years, so who knows. The first 8 months is kind of like a getting used to it phase, I would say. So... And for the first 8 months, you're pretty much in boot camp and then at your A school or your C school, where you get your additional training.
Oh, okay. For whatever, like they believe you should specialize or something?
Well, you have to take an ASVAB test, and then...
What is that?
It's basically like an SAT, but it's one of those tests.
Oh, great. Okay.
And I scored really high, so... They tricked me.
Okay.
Because I wanted to be a Navy musician. And they said that my ASVAB score was too high and that I had to either go into the nuke program or the
oh my God.
intelligence program.
Really?
Yeah, because I got like a 94 or something.
And you're like, I just want to sing. Where's the dance recital room?
Yeah, and so they told me that, and so I went into Navy intelligence.
This is awesome. Oh my God. So like, I mean, I have some friends who did the Marine thing and some who've done the Army. I don't really know many in the naval side of things. So when you're doing that, are you spending a lot of time in the water? Is it like here or
I was never on a ship.
Wow, so it was still like crawling through mud. I mean, was there anything?
No.
It didn't even start off with a prerequisite, like, oh, everybody take this fish bowl. Don't let the goldfish drop, but run 10 miles.
Now you're talking about boot camp.
Talking about boot camp, but it's the Navy, so I just assumed.
We did some water rescue stuff, like in big pools and stuff like that. We did what was called, oh my gosh, I have the worst memory. Battle stations, I think is what it was called, where essentially we went to sleep and they woke us up like 2 hours later and we had to get into all our gear, and then we had to run 2 miles to like the first station where we had to fight a fire, and then run a mile to another station where we had to do a water rescue, and then go into the gas chamber, which was broken while I was there, thank goodness.
So you never had to experience
I didn't have to
because you have to go through the whole whatever.
Like, yeah, everyone like throws up. And,
and it was broken?
It was broken.
Oh, good for you.
I know.
All right, great. Did you break it? You can tell us now.
Yes, I did.
You sabotaged it.
And then you had to like go to the shooting station and pass a certain thing. So
and you were a sharpshooter? You were just good at it?
I was qualified sharpshooter. So I was the second best. The top is expert.
Oh my God. So you keep getting randomly cooler to me as this whole talk goes on. And you say it so casual, like, well, I was a sharpshooter.
Well, I mean, I never shot anything, but like,
That doesn't matter. Sharpshooter, that's all it really takes to be cool.
It's just like a little ribbon. Little ribbon you wear on your uniform. That's all it is.
Oh, that seems ridiculously adorable. Why a ribbon? I wondered. It should be a patch.
Well, I mean, we in the military, you have different ribbons for like
ribbons. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. The actual thing. Okay. Now I know.
For different. Yeah. It's not like a actual like girly.
Yeah. When
ribbon.
You said it, I was thinking of like a pretty pink little like. No. Oh, that seems weird. Like even the dudes. Like everybody.
It's just like a little thing, and I think it had an S on it for sharpshooter. Now that I remember, like a little pin.
Oh my God. I need to see like a picture of you in military garb.
Oh, jeez. I look like a baby.
Really?
Because
but you're in uniform? You have like a uniformed picture? That should have been a picture on your blog.
It'll be on one of them, I'm sure. Because I already look fairly young for my age, just naturally. And then back then, I looked 12. It looked like child labor.
Like it could have been like a Disney movie. Like,
it was ridiculous. I looked like this little... Well, and I lost a bunch of weight in boot camp. Sure. And I already have really prominent cheekbones, so they just kind of sunk in. And I just look like this little tiny malnourished 12-year-old.
But still, there's like a fraction of you that's like a badass, you know?
Yeah.
Did you take any hand-to-hand combat too? Was any of that?
No.
Or you were more like, no, I need to be 1,000 yards away and then you're mine.
No, I mean, I was never in combat. So I was always in like an intelligence base, like behind a computer, quite honestly, you know.
How cool, man. So if you wanted to, you could have stayed that course and ended up being like, the military could have been a career choice.
Oh, absolutely. Wow. But I always wanted to be an actor. Like even when I joined the Navy, I was joining it for the GI Bill so that I could go to school and study acting. Because that was the thing I didn't like about opera. Because at the time, they weren't really encouraging the acting portion of it very much. Which I believe has changed. I've heard that's changed now. But I wanted to be an actor always. Like how I told you offline earlier, it's so funny because we're both singers. But for me to be really satisfied, I want to like tell a story through song.
Yeah.
And not just one song. I want a narrative. Like I want.
Nice. You want the
I want the theatrical piece, the experience. Beautiful. And I didn't get that in opera. So I always knew I wanted to get it. Go to the Navy, do this thing, get my GA Bill, get out.
How does that work? So you go through it, and then are you spending like 2 years primarily in the Navy before it becomes something different where you're able to go to school or something?
Well, you go to boot camp, and then you go to what's called A school, and then you go to C school.
And that's just for the military training?
Yeah. So boot camp was in Great Lakes, actually, near Chicago. And then I went to Pensacola, Florida for my A school and my C school. And I still was in kind of denial that I was in the military.
Okay.
So I had this whole other life where I actually did a show while I was down there.
How?
So I'd go to school all day, and then I would go do Canterbury Tales, the musical. Oh my God.
Wow.
Oh my God, I can't believe I remembered that.
What was your character?
I do not know. I think I was some sort of princess or... I cannot remember. I had a princess
I'm picturing
gown.
some sort of weird comedic series where like you accidentally show up to the stage in your military garb and then you accidentally end up at the shooting range in your theatrical costume. Like, damn it.
Well, I got in all kinds. Well, they wanted to get me in trouble because they knew I was living like this other life, but I was doing really well on my test scores.
The military did?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
My teacher had me followed one night. It was a whole thing.
Whoa, really?
So I would go...
Did you have to lose somebody? Were you losing a tail on your way to rehearsal?
I did all kinds of crazy stuff in Pensacola.
Cool. Yeah.
So I would go do my show, and then I would go hang out with my best friend down there. His name was Brandon, and he's like the first outwardly gay guy I ever met, and that's when I kind of got passionate about gay rights, because in college at Brunel, I got passionate about Black rights. And I'm not saying African American. See all of these disclaimers, because I don't know. I've kind of done. I try to say the right thing. I want everyone to be called the way they want to be called, and there's discrepancies there, but most of my friends prefer that. Not that I need to give that disclaimer, but you know what I mean?
I grew up around, mostly like Hispanic, African American community in my neighborhood, and it was the same way for the particular like African American crowd that I grew up with. That's how we were taught. Mainly because it didn't seem. It didn't seem offensive, and it was more like, well, this is the quickest description. Like, oh, there's a white guy over there. Oh, that guy, Charlie, he's a black guy, real nice guy who, it just became.
Well, a lot of my friends,
I think when you put intent,
they're like, I'm not African, I'm American. They don't want that. So I don't know. It's still something I'm trying to figure out. What's the appropriate thing to say?
I like you, man. You have a lot of interesting offshoot layers. You could almost be like a 4-hour podcast. This is very cool.
But when I was at not Columbia, when I was at Brunel, it's the first time I really experienced racism because I grew up mostly in New York. And not that it's not there. I'm sure it is. But I never really saw it. Or if I did, I didn't understand it.
Well, there's going to be less in New York than in, certain other parts of the country.
Sure.
It's such a melting pot.
And when I got to Georgia is when I could see, it was obvious.
Really?
And so I was the vice president of the Minority Awareness Club, and I almost joined Alpha Kappa Alpha, which is a black sorority, and I sang in the gospel choir, and I was the only white chick. So
you were in Dessa Rose.
Well, later, yeah.
But
that's when that was
I wonder
awoken.
If you already, you seem to have this conviction about you when you believe in something. But I wonder, everything we do in life,
it all leads to something.
And I
absolutely.
wonder if that
that's where it started.
The military experience, though, and the kind of the, there is, I can joke about it, going through it, and especially there's, oh my gosh, there's so many weird comedic scenarios you could make up because the girl who wanted to be an actress who's in boot camp. But there has to be something character building about that allows you to maybe even take stronger stances on things that you believe in, that maybe if you didn't have that, we're still all who we are.
Yeah.
But man, I don't know, when you walk out and someone tells you you're a good sharpshooter.
It was my 20s. It was my young 20s. And just think about your young 20s.
Developmenting yourself.
It's when you're becoming an adult. It's when you're becoming, it's invaluable.
Yeah.
And that's why when people are anti-military, even though I'm such a progressive, it's very offensive to me because I think you can be anti-war. I don't think you can be anti-soldier. That's not allowed.
That's very cool.
In my view.
Yeah,
because these are people that are giving up their rights. They no longer have the same rights as us.
Yeah.
They now have a different set of different
standards,
bill of rights.
Rules, everything.
Yeah. They don't have the same rights as America. They're giving up part of their lives to go make our country better or try to or help or it's a fairly selfless thing. I think
I went into this I think a podcast ago or maybe 2 podcasts ago, so I don't want to repeat my stories, but I did a USO tour and met so many, and I did a NATO base.
I want to do that.
And it was life-changing just to see and to know. Here's a story I didn't talk about. I guess when I was on the Kosovo base, I woke up earlier than everybody else just because the clock was messed up because I hate mornings,
Me too.
But I woke up and it was a safety zone, so I was allowed to kind of walk around the barracks and everything. And I ran into a pilot, and he was a Black Hawk pilot, and he's like, yeah, I gotta rev up the Black Hawk to do my rounds, So I walked with him, and so amazing. And I'm talking to these guys that were just from the Midwest, normal dudes. And I, took some pictures in the Black Hawk. It's weird because they're getting ready to fly this thing.
Yeah.
But then they're like, "Hey, get in there. We'll take a quick picture." And they were so kind. And I'm like, "What do you guys do? Like, give me a quick morning." Well, we wake up, we get in the copter, we have to fly around the border, and sometimes we have to shoot people trying to sneak into the country or whatever. God. And I'm like, holy crap, that's your day. It's like, yeah. So like their regular morning cup of joe was potential gunfire. People trying to shoot them down, them having to stop people.
Well, and it becomes routine. I mean, it never was for me. Yeah. I was never in that kind of circumstance.
That's a world, though, man.
That's a world.
So you're using, that gives you even more strength than you already had. I mean, anybody that could just on a whim go to the Navy, So already you're pretty tough. And then you get into, toggling both worlds, but then finally you're done with the military side of things.
Yes.
Right? And then you're able to just use the GI Bill. So where'd you first go to school then after the military?
Columbia College here in Chicago.
So you were already here, so then you did some research and heard good things about Columbia?
I auditioned you don't audition at Columbia, but I auditioned for one school and then came and looked at Columbia. I auditioned for Juilliard.
Oh, yeah.
And I hadn't been on stage in 6 years. But I'd been reading all these books, and I was teaching myself how to do scansion.
And the combination of
for Shakespeare
opera training, and as well as going, I mean, that's your voice is ready.
No, it was not. It was very out of use.
Yeah.
So I get to the audition for Juilliard, and I can't remember what Shakespearean monologue I was doing. But with Shakespeare, you plan your breaths. Pretty much like singing. And it's all about the rhythm and where the breaths are supposed to be. He writes them in. Essentially, it's more complicated than this, but essentially, if there's a punctuation, you can breathe. If there isn't, you have to keep going. Well, I forgot to breathe before the sentence started. So I'm doing whatever this sentence is, and in the middle of, I get through the whole thing, and then I go, at the end of this phrase.
Yes.
And I was like, okay. All right, maybe I can't teach myself Shakespeare. Maybe I actually need a teacher. So
fair enough.
But then, no, and honestly, Columbia, I liked it. Like, it's the
culture.
Well, it's the biggest liberal arts school in the country. I think that's still, I mean, you can take a math class that is still artistically based. Like, it's so artsy over there.
Okay.
I was craving that after 6 years of, I mean, I sang in a couple bands and stuff in the Navy, but mostly it was a creative void for me. So I was craving as artistic as it could be. And so that's why I came to Columbia.
That is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
So then, what did you mainly train in then at Columbia?
I started off as a musical theater major, and I quickly changed to acting.
Okay.
I think I always craved to be that really good, like, serious actor. And at the time, the musical theater program only had like 1 or 2 acting classes on it. And I wanted more than that. Like, I just wanted to be immersed in it.
So then, and you've been working in this town, and this town is, I mean, we talk about how many theaters are here and how great the storefront theater community is, but it's chock full of talent. I mean, I've yet to see even if there's a show that's not my favorite show, the talent level is so high in this town. So it's not, there are a lot of great people out there still not getting parts, not even because of the diversity, just because competition. There's talent, and you're working. So how soon did you start working?
I would say I auditioned for about 6 months before I got my first show.
Okay.
And then
What was your first show?
Christmas Schooner.
Yeah, I don't think I'm familiar with that one. It sounds like a dessert.
It's actually a true story about these sailors that used to go on Lake Michigan and bring Christmas trees to Chicago.
Your first play involves sailors?
I know.
Your first play after the Navy?
I never even thought about that. That's really funny. Yeah.
They must have just thought, there's something about her.
And then right after that, I did Jerry Springer, the opera.
Where was that at?
That was at Bailiwick Rep. Really? And I played Xandra, the crack whore.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Did you have to sing in any type of operatic style?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I made it a little more modern. I had her belt some of the stuff.
So wait a minute. So then, oh my God. And so that did it become kind of a job after job after job? Did you just start rolling for the most part after your first job?
For the most part. I mean, there's been a couple of dry spells, I would say. But yeah, for the most part, I've worked pretty consistently. Mostly in non-equity theater, but I do work at equity theaters too. Yeah. So it's
Are you equity at this point?
I'm not. I'm EMC, which is equity membership candidate.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So the way that works, it's boring, but you build up points to become equity. So you have to have 52 points. I think I'm at like 30 something.
Nice.
So
good for you though, man. I mean, once you hit, you just hit. So you're good at what you do, I mean, there wasn't a weak link in Dessa Rose,
thank you. That is honestly.
She was folks. She was in the play with J.C. Brooks. The play that in his podcast he was talking about. He was just about to start that. I think.
Oh wow! I didn't know that.
Yeah, you were in.
Yeah.
And then you were in a side character.
Well, that show also is part of what has kind of changed my view of what theater should be and what casting should be. Because I had never been part of a musical before that felt more like I was a human.
You were the minority.
Well, I was the minority, and I mean, I had to pretend that my beautiful friends were my slaves every day, so that was a whole mind fuck right there, and they're pretending to be slaves. So we're all we bonded so much because it was such heavy material, and it was so important, and it was so, I don't know, and it's before all of this stuff was happening, but we weren't talking about it yet. Like Ferguson hadn't happened yet. Like a lot of this stuff hadn't happened yet. 12 Years a Slave won the Oscar during Tech of Dessa Rose.
Wow.
So, and there's interviews of us talking, and people are asking us, do you think racism is still alive and well? And we are literally saying in those videos, It is, but no one's talking about it. And that was only 2 years ago. So it's so insane how much has changed since then.
Jeez.
Because now it's part of the national conversation.
It's so at what point, so you're doing Desarose, at what point then did that take us to, this where we are now with the blog and stuff? Like, how long has that been kind of in your
I think it's been, honestly, I think everything leads up to it. When I was in college and was all about, civil rights, the Navy, experiencing the gay culture in Pensacola, and then having to deal with misogyny in the military and in the theater world, it has just kind of all bubbled up. I think everything we do contributes to who we become.
Yeah.
But Desarose was definitely a big part of me realizing that even musical theater, which people think of musical theater much more as like fluff or, an escape and entertainment.
Sure.
Even musical theater can change the world in a little way.
That is something, man.
Because I bet when you left Desarose, I'm assuming, I hope, that it made you think, you know what I mean? And
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The color purple as well,
Oh, for sure.
Which, man, I don't know if that's ever coming back or if it's still good. That was so great. That was
it was
great.
really, really good.
And now what's next for you? Well, I mean, because you're weathering this weird, you're not done with this, unfortunately. This blog of yours, I think it's not
both. It's fortunately and yeah.
Yeah, it's not ripples. It's I think it's going to continue to make waves for a bit. So you may still have a couple of weekends where you have to shut everything off. But man, look at you. I mean, it's impressive.
Thank you.
Well,
they've invited me. They want me to share other things with them at Huffington Post. So
oh wow.
So that's a possibility.
That's very interesting.
Yes. So that's why when we were talking earlier and you're like, and you're a writer? I'm like, I guess. I guess that's what has happened. I mean, I have been writing my whole life. I just never really thought of myself as a writer. So that's a new thing.
So how are you with that? Are you still kind of guessing whether or not you should do that, or are you, because if you think you've been put in this arena where there's
I've been given a platform, which very few people are given that.
I like the way you're respecting the platform too. Like you're cautiously looking at the platform, where I think many other people in your position would just be like, oh yes, here I go.
Yeah,
go,
I don't. Well, I also.
You're a reluctant hero.
Oh God, don't call me that. Someone called me that on Facebook.
Yeah, I like it. It's true.
They did not mean it in a positive way.
Oh, okay. Well, I do mean it in a positive way.
Thank
because
you.
That doesn't seem to be what you're. It's very obvious that's not what you're aiming for. You're not trying to get attention. You're not trying to be put on a platform. Even the way you're approaching this, it's just the Huffington Post thing seems like you're very cautiously figuring it out. Like, well, yeah, where does that put you? Because is there a fear of?
I'm very cerebral, so I just think through everything. Yeah. I'm also passionate, but I wouldn't want to just, now that I have this thing where I can submit pieces to them, I wouldn't want to just write about anything or just do a companion piece just to get it published.
Well, that's the thing.
I have to feel inspired.
Yeah. Do you feel responsible?
I do feel a little bit of responsibility.
And then a responsibility to topic, because if this is what got you there to where the Huffington Post is asking this of you, now do you feel like, oh crap, I can't just, here's my favorite muffin recipe all of a sudden. I can't make that the follow. Like, oh no, does it always have, which can be daunting, where like, oh no, does it always have to be this strong message? Does it always have to be another flag I'm going to wave? Is that all that they want from you in a way?
I kind of wave the feminism flag quite a bit on Facebook, and there's many people that push back on me. I don't want to get political, but just talking about the things that Hillary's facing in the media and with Bernie supporters that other people aren't facing, and that's all I'll say about it. But I'll talk about that, and people will say, well, we don't dislike her because she's a woman. We dislike her for this reason, or they'll push back at
Either
me.
way, there's a pushback. You get yourself put into this scenario
and
where you're.
And I don't want to. I don't want to weaken my stance, but at the same time, it does get it gets exhausting.
Yeah.
It gets exhausting when you're fighting the same fight.
So
every single day.
taking your time figuring this next move out.
Yeah, I definitely want if I do publish a next piece, I definitely want it. I want it to be its own thing.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't expect it to top the last one at all.
Which is
that
great.
Wouldn't be my intention.
Taking that out of your mindset is awesome, But that is weird, because
it's not my main focus.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
not. You should totally just throw them on their side though, because who knows what they're expecting from you, and then all of a sudden this is my favorite chewing gum.
Yeah, I don't think I would.
7 pages of.
Well, and a lot of the stuff on Huffington Post, that's what it is. And people that go viral, it's normally for those kind of things.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily for
you realize
a feminist piece or this kind of piece.
But if you write about chewing gum, and if you just kept it honestly about chewing gum, everybody would just jump on it and try to dissect it. Like, wait a minute. Okay, so I'm thinking Hubba Bubba is the man. Hubba Bubba is man. And they would just probably look for these messages that aren't even there. Oh, you should totally do that. Yeah.
But because I have been thinking about,
where to go next?
Where to go next in that way, in a blogging way. But it's not my priority. Like I'm acting and I am casting a show.
Well, you didn't
right
ask
now
for this.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so that's tricky.
But I definitely don't want to disrespect the offer and the opportunity that I've been given.
Yeah. Well, it's
especially if people are responding so well to it, and it's something people want to hear. They want to hear about this.
Well, you seem to have learned very quickly from what you've experienced here that the disclaimer is so important, and you seem to have a very well-rounded approach. It sounds to me like when you talk, you're sort of thinking of every aspect and trying your best to figure out, okay, wait a minute, this might be the wrong button. I don't mean to press this button when I'm saying this. And I don't mean, and that's good because I think that'll serve you in future pieces if you decide to, because at the same time, this was something real. This was just you talking, like you said, like,
give me my body back.
Yeah, I would have,
so dramatic.
but it moved me. Again, I was moved. Like, somebody please find her body. Yeah, but I mean, you seem to already have a better mindset. There are people that want what you have and have strived for it and then get it
and don't know what to do with it.
Well, they're still off the rails too much, or they still manage to add these unintentional hot buttons that go off topic. They don't know how to do it, where you seem to be editing yourself even when you speak in a good way. Because what I like about it, I hope you may find yourself thinking, oh crap, listen to this, I'm almost being careful. But I don't think you are. I think you're carefully getting the correct message through. And I think that's what I like about you as opposed to other people I've seen who've either spoken or are in this arena that you find yourself in. It's a good thing. I think it's a good thing because you're not trimming the fat of who you are. You're just securing the message. And I like that.
Well, and you want the most amount of people to take in your message.
Yeah.
And if you use certain language, I don't know. I'm not sure how I do it. I don't think about it consciously, like, oh, I have to do this, or this person might think this way. I just kind of do it naturally.
Yeah, it sounds natural. It sounds conversational. So it doesn't sound like it, you have like it doesn't sound like you suddenly switch to PR mode. It just sounds like you're stressing your point a little more clearly.
But at the same time, when you're trying to get this patriarchy or this predominantly white group of theater people, directors, casting directors, all of these people, if you're just attacking them, they're not going to receive your message. Do you know what I mean? So you, in any fight, if you're just on the attack, they're not going to receive it.
What I love about this and having you here for this time is that we got to know you. And it's not, I like what you are because you spread your message, but you're a normal person. Some people get so lost in the message that they just become the message.
Yeah.
And they get lost and you don't see who they really are, and it almost makes it harder to focus on their message. But you're a cool girl and you're an artist and you were a sharpshooter in the Navy, which is so cool. So that, and you like Harrison Ford. You're a Harrison Ford fan?
I mean, duh. Who isn't?
I don't know. Well, some people like the last Indiana Jones movie. He lost favor, but it wasn't his fault.
It's a bad movie.
It's a bad movie. Fault. And you know what? I am one of the few people that enjoyed that. What was it? I don't even remember what that one was called.
The Crystal Skull something.
And I heard Spielberg hated it because he's like, I don't like the story. Like, they didn't even like what George Lucas brought to the story. But
I sat in the movie theater and I laughed my ass off.
They were
took
shackled
it for what it was.
to Lucas's idea. because the agreement they made is that all three of them, Harrison Ford, Steven Spielberg, and George Lucas, had to agree.
Yeah.
And he was the holdout. I think he wanted aliens, and Spielberg was like begging him, please, dear God, I don't want a flying saucer. I don't want this. Mm-hmm. And then Lucas came back and said, okay, but they're interdimensional beings. And finally Spielberg was like, all right, fine, you know. But there was one redeeming factor to that movie. There's one thing that I enjoyed about that movie.
The groundhog?
No, I hated the groundhog. Oh my God. What I liked is that I'm an Indiana Jones fan.
Oh, me too.
And to see him in the hat punching people and kicking ass. He kicked ass in the movie. The action sequences with him, you know, to see him doing that again.
I'm just incredibly sentimental. So when you hear that music,
oh my God, what happened to the score? You don't hear that. That's gone away now. The John Williams days of identifying a score. For a while it became taboo, almost hokey.
Yeah.
But scores,
I love it.
Scores aren't moving people like they used to. They do in a way. They still move story and it works.
But I don't notice them.
No, right.
Whereas it used to be,
they're adding to a tone.
Yeah.
But it used to scream. You couldn't help but hear the score without the movie attached to it, and then suddenly get thrown back into that movie in that same excitement. I mean, it's amazing, and it's become a lost art.
Like when I went to Jurassic World, and that music started, I just started tearing up because that was just those are the movies that we grew up with and that are so special to us. And
with Star Wars being back, it was so great to just watch the words Star Wars come back on.
Well, and what we were talking about earlier, to see a female Jedi, because let me tell you, when I was a little girl, I was obsessed with Princess Leia. But when I would pretend to be Princess Leia, I wasn't like captured by Jabba the Hutt. No, in my mind, when I would play, she was a Jedi, and she would like fight the people. And that's what little girls are thinking, you know. But it's hard to dream it if you don't see it.
Wow.
You know?
That's a great line.
Well, I didn't come up with it, but it's so true.
Nobody said on this podcast, so according to this podcast, you made it up.
To have a female Jedi and a male black lead in Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Yeah. I was crying. I mean, I'm ridiculous, but I was crying I'm sure people are seeing the movie and not even noticing, and I hope that's what people are doing. Yeah. But because this is such an important part of my life, I was hyper aware of it, and it moved me so much because nobody cares. And this is what I think that we dumb down our audiences. I think that we think they want a certain thing, and I think that as a society we have moved past that, and that we can be more creative with casting.
It sure is nice to see the way being paved not by some small indie film. It's pretty cool.
It's by Star Wars.
Star Wars just picked up,
But yet, like we were talking about,
marketing.
You cannot find a Rey doll.
I don't get it. Yeah, it was
pissing me off.
It's called The Utility Belt. It's called Fat Man on Batman, I think, as well, the podcast. If you're a geek, find that podcast. It's brilliant. But they were talking about the Monopoly game. There's a Star Wars Monopoly game, and it was like all characters of Star Wars. So Darth Vader's on there and such, and she's nowhere to be found. And she's a lead in this character.
She's the Jedi.
Yeah, well, I had another guest on. Sarah Moore from the web series Gamer Chick. She was talking about how Black Widow in the Avengers, same thing. Like, it's hard to find
because they think they're boy toys, and they think that the boys won't want to buy the girl dolls.
And the ridiculous thing is they're not thinking about the girls who enjoy the princess dolls. Well, now they're seeing a whole different character. Why wouldn't a little girl want to be the Black Widow? Why wouldn't a little girl want to be Rey?
If the little girls want to be Katniss, then they're going to want to be Rey and the Black Widow. There is a market for this, and not just. There's little boys that want those dolls too. Yeah. There are plenty of little boys that want those dolls. To not even include it
in Monopoly, where it's like, come on, wait, the original, it's just wasn't like a car and a dog and a thimble. Like, it shouldn't matter. Like, it
fills me with rage. Maybe I do need to do yoga. Calm me down.
Yeah, no, it's weird, but I mean, that's a whole other entity. You know, that's not the artistic entity. That's the purely corporate money making, where they have these weird ideas of it's
Hasbro.
Is it Hasbro?
Hasbro.
You know why? Because bro's in the name. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a bro club.
Yep.
Just dissect. Now we sound all militant. Yeah, Hasbro.
We have unpacked the name of Hasbro.
We're after you now. We need you to start Hasbra.
No.
No? Oh, wrong?
No.
Damn it.
No.
See? Editing. It's all about editing.
No.
I got no? All right. Well,
No.
it's my first attempt. All right. I'll wave the flag with you. You're going to be like, yeah, wave it with me, but from over there. Now, I know him. He's kind of like a weird relative, but trust me, he gets the message.
Why do we even need boys and girls lanes? I don't know. Just combine them.
Yeah.
Just let toys be toys.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, yeah, because the lead girl in Star Wars, the lead character, she wasn't. She's a badass. I love the fact that they didn't make her, because a lot of times they'll give us a strong female character. And then the fight scene is, she's going to fight the other girl.
Yeah.
I love the fact that she was fighting the dude, And even though the fight, she got like the upper hand. Now, everyone's seen Star Wars by this point, so there's no such thing as spoilers in here.
Oh, yeah.
But the fact that when the Jedi thing happened and he's trying to like mind control her or get the upper hand there, and she pushed him back. Oh, that was such a badass,
awesome.
And I wasn't thinking, I'm just a fan of Star Wars.
Me too.
So I don't think gender, I'm just watching,
Which I'm so glad.
Yeah, so I didn't think, that's cool.
I hope no one but me noticed that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I didn't think that, the girl overcame the guy. I just thought it was so cool that character outdid the other character. Yep. It was so cool.
It was really, really cool.
The Han Solo thing killed me, though. It was important, and it had to happen. Like, I understood it. I thought it was well placed.
Yeah.
But when he went... I hurt so bad.
I know.
I hurt really bad.
I wanted to talk about it, but I couldn't because
now it's out there. Now it's like becoming worldwide. I'm so glad I didn't. I specifically waited till like now. But when he went, it just it destroyed me.
Yeah. Oh, me too.
It destroyed me. Like I just
thought. Are you kidding me? And I just binge watched this weekend. I told you.
All of them.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
man.
I did it in that order. Oh, what is the order called? Where you don't watch the first one, the first prequel. Mm-hmm. I'd watched it anyway to get it out of the way. But what you do is you watch The New Hope and then Empire Strikes Back. And then you find out that, he's his father. Spoiler alert from 1977. and then you
Somewhere there's going to be like a 65-year-old emailing my podcast like, I can't believe she gave us away. I had no idea. Damn it.
And then you jump to the second and third prequel because that's when they talk about the story of how...
Oh my God.
How
you went all
he became
Memento
evil.
on Star Wars.
I did. And then you jump back to Return of the Jedi.
Wow.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did that this weekend while I was avoiding all social media.
Man, I wish I knew you and I had nothing to do this weekend because I would have wanted to do that. Oh, wow.
It was cool.
Well, I thought the Han Solo thing, it worked so well, but it just, man, I mean, I'm still hurting. I forgot how much it still hurt. Why does it hurt so bad? Because it feels like a family member went.
Well, because those were our heroes. Like Alan Rickman just died, and let me tell you, I would have if someone had me write down like all of my favorite actors, I wouldn't have thought of him.
Yeah.
But I was gutted. I was just so upset.
Obviously, where he reached the worldwide fame in the first Die Hard movie.
Oh well, yes, of course.
He did such a brilliant job at being the bad guy in that. Mm-hmm. But check out Dogma, man.
Oh yeah, I've seen it. Oh, absolutely. I mean,
dude.
That's what I learned. I was like, I've seen his entire body of work.
Yeah.
And what made me want to be an actor is actually Sense and Sensibility. I was a huge Kate Winslet fan because she kind of looked like me, and she was curvy, and she had like long curly hair, and she didn't do the less is more acting on stage on film. Like she almost seemed like a theater actress at first when she started off, and so I just really related to her.
Nice.
And
I never thought of that because I've worked more in film than theater.
Yeah.
But I've loved theater actors because they just know the craft. So I'd rather have them. I try not to just bring film actors into the few things that I've done.
Sure.
But I do have to notice sometimes you have to make it a smaller box.
You have to do an adjustment
because it's more intimate,
It
but
depends. Some people get away with it.
Yeah, and she finds what I would consider the best middle ground in her acting style, where she doesn't close the box that small, as small as other people will for film. But at the same time, she's not exactly speaking to the back of the room.
She's gotten smaller as she's gotten older.
Yeah.
But when she first, when she did Sense and Sensibility and Hamlet, she was Ophelia in Hamlet. So it was
even
like
Titanic, though.
That was the trifecta for me. So I saw Sense and Sensibility, and then I saw her as Ophelia in Hamlet, and then I saw her as Rose in Titanic, and the end.
Yeah.
Like, I was obsessed with her. But so I watched Sense and Sensibility probably 100 times.
Wow.
And Alan Rickman plays Colonel Brandon in it. And so I just grew up loving that movie and loving him in it. And I was heartbroken. I was really heartbroken. I don't think I've been this upset about a celebrity since Robin Williams.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's another one. It's been bad.
That one
well,
was
the music
hard.
world, everyone's...
Absolutely.
Everyone. I mean, I know we just lost Glenn Fry and then David Bowie, but there are all these,
of course,
a founding member of the group Tower of Power. I've been looking on Facebook, and every 3 days,
Natalie Cole just
passed.
Man,
Natalie Cole, that one hurt me.
Yeah.
That one hurt me. There was one of her. There's a CD she came out with. Maybe it was 10 years ago, and they just had her on whatever Entertainment Tonight or something, and they were talking about this little disclaimer on her CD that said, at no point was her voice altered in any way, shape, or form, and no auto tuning or whatever.
Well, they didn't do it back then.
Even
now
10 years ago
you're
they
saying
did.
now.
This was about 10 years ago when it started. Where now they do live auto tuning.
So obnoxious.
So now you can sing off key live, and it'll be adjusted in real time, But back then they'd finally figured out, they could nudge notes in the studio, and she just slapped that right on her CD, and she said in the interview, it's just my little elbow nudge to all these kids out there that aren't, we don't know who's singing for real and who's not. We don't know how good anybody is or how bad they are, because if the moneymakers are there and they push this person,
if they have the right look and the right act.
Even on the Grammys and stuff, they can perform, but it could be totally auto-tuned.
Well, I don't know how you feel about this, but to me, that strips the emotion from the voice.
Sure does, yeah.
So to me, it's fine. I think it's fine for upbeat pop songs or whatever. But if it's a ballad or I don't know, something a little more substantial.
We're back into a problem, though. We're back into society getting so used to what they hear on the radio. There's the delivery, and it's over-processed, and now they hear it live, so now that's just where their comfort zone is becoming.
I'll tell you what, though. I one of my favorite artists is Brandi Carlile.
Oh,
do you know her?
I'm not familiar.
She's wonderful. I would say folk rock,
Cool.
and I heard her live, and it's better than her CD.
Yeah.
And it was so nice to hear an artist.
That's when you know it's the real deal.
Yes.
Yeah, that's.
And those are the kind of artists I want to support. Honestly, I can tell. I can tell when it's auto-tuned.
The music thing has been so weird for sales and stuff, and artists are hurting so badly because now all of a sudden CD sales or song sales aren't making them the money, so now it's become
everything's digital now.
Yeah, they have to go back to performance, but because of that, now you get all these indie artists out there and people that you've maybe never really heard of. I love the show Live from Daryl's House. It's Daryl Hall. He has these random acts over his house and they jam, and he'll have a big act, somebody from from Train, or he'll have somebody from Fall Out Boy, but then he'll have an indie artist that you've never heard of. And man, now that these people have to perform to make their money, you're seeing some great talent.
Good.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
So it's swinging back.
It is.
Which I'm happy about. I mean, it always, it's cyclical, but
you still can't make the riches just on your sales like you used to, which is sad, a little sad that somebody who writes this brilliant piece, or pieces can't live a nice rich life based on those pieces living, because everyone can grab it for free. Or I see my CDs on Spotify, and I'll see 100 people listen to your song, and here's your
$10 check or something.
No,
right?
It's more like here's your 90 cents.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But that's cool. It's out there. It's out there.
Yeah, I mean, I have music recording artist friends, and it's the same thing.
Yeah. Well, man, I'm glad you spent the afternoon with me.
Thank you. I don't even remember what we talked about.
You're gonna love this.
Hopefully.
No, you are the queen of the clear cut message with disclaimers included. I love it. You have a purse of disclaimers. It's like you're like the Johnny Appleseed of.
I don't know if I normally do that,
because as you walk, you kind of sprinkle them, and But again, I'll say this, and people, you should. I don't know if there's hopefully a lesson somewhere in these episodes, every time people meet somebody new through the podcast like you, I think that's smart. I think finding that line that you're walking with this particular piece, because I don't know, for all I know, your other pieces are just like, blah, I don't know. But for this one, the lesson learned, I think, for anybody who's putting their ideas out there in the world is to stay so true to the idea to the point where you're focusing on the idea. You're not going so overboard that the idea gets lost in this harshness, but at the same time, you're laying some disclaimers, and not to the point where you're not to the degree where you're being so safe that you're losing the message as well. You're doing both. I think you're very direct and you're intelligent and you're passionate, and the directness definitely helps, but at the same time you sprinkle just enough disclaimers not to overlook the idea or to keep yourself overly safe, but you just seem to be nudging your message in the right way and trimming some of the fat, and I really respect that. I don't know if I've seen anybody do it quite as well, and I'm talking about people that just do that for a living.
Yeah.
And here you are, you fell into it and you figured it out faster than people that have made,
Well, it's not about being PC, because I think it's about intent, because I think when people are PC, they don't want to make anyone mad. And I think when I do whatever it is that I'm doing, or when other people that I know in my life do it, it's because we have so much respect for the people that we're talking about that we want to get it right.
Oh man, this might be the most meaningful podcast I've ever done.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Yeah, no, seriously, I've had so many different things, and it always leans toward art of some sort. But this is. Yeah,
I've learned that my art has to come with a heavy dollop of activism. Yeah.
That's what I've learned. Hope, congratulations.
Thank you.
On your ideas doing what they've done. And I hope, though, that eventually you get back on the stage and you're just having some fun.
I start rehearsal next week.
Boom. What are you jumping into?
My mentor, Sheldon Patinkin, who was heavily into Second City and Steppenwolf, he died last year, and before he died, he devised a Harold Arlen review with songs like Summer of the Rainbow, Man That Got Away.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm doing that. It's called I've Got the World on a String. It's at City Lit Theater, and I will be actually singing The Man That Got Away. So I'm really excited to honor him in that way and to sing a song I've always wanted to sing.
And when you sing it, it could either be romantically involved or somebody from your sniper world who got up right before you.
He got away before I shot him. I don't shoot people.
She doesn't shoot people, but she can if she has to. So zombie apocalypse.
Patriarchy, watch out.
Yeah. Zombie apocalypse, I'm going to your house.
Okay. People have said that to me before. That's not the first time someone said that.
I feel very safe. I'm so glad I know you.
Oh, you too.
Yeah, thanks so much for doing this. Did you have fun?
I did. I had a good time.
Yeah, this was supposed to be just good vibes for you. And
again, have no idea what we talked about. Don't remember.
Just everything. Cool. Oh my gosh, I'm glad you guys got to meet her. So, by the way, Harmony, that's your birth name.
It
Harmony?
is.
I used to fantasize about, if I ever have a daughter, but I didn't do it. I always wanted, and I have a daughter, and her name's Molly, which, she kind of came out, and I thought, yeah, Molly. Well, we both did.
I like Molly.
Yeah, no, it really works. But when I was younger, just... You
wanted it to be Harmony.
Yeah, my gosh. And I wanted to kind of, and I don't know, this is kind of stupid, but I even thought for short I'd call her H, because I thought, hey, H.
People call me Harms or Harm.
Harm is a terrible nickname.
H Money.
That's H Money. That's like your street cred name. Okay, that's your rap name. Oh, yo, H Money in the house. Okay.
I don't know, all kinds of things.
Harm. I don't like. Hey, Harm.
Yeah, a lot of people call me that.
That's like the worst nickname. Tell them to stop that.
Symphony.
Get out of harm's way.
Melody. Yep. Dissonance. I've been called Dissonance.
Oh my God,
before.
Really? Mm-hmm. The names are getting longer than the actual name. I've always wanted H. I'm like, hey, H. I
like that.
Yeah. So I thought that'd be a cute nickname. But so you've completed my life, because at least I got to meet a girl named Harmony if I couldn't make one myself.
There's 4 of us. There's more. There's more than that.
Oh, really? There's a whole colony of Harmonies?
I've only met 2 other Harmonies in my life.
Really?
And then I've seen a couple in Hollywood or something. So there's 4 that I've known.
Why doesn't that beg the question that if the 4 Harmonies ever got together,
the world would explode?
Well, no, I just think if you said, all right, just say one word at the same time, everyone would say it in a different pitch. Don't you think?
No, I don't think so.
On that note, let's say farewell to Harmony France, and I'm just glad I met you, and I wish
too. Thank you.
I just wish goodness upon you because you're a straight shooter in so many ways. So get to know her, folks. Find her. Your official website is called
harmonyfrancechicago.com.
Okay, and that's where they can see all things that you're up to.
That's acting stuff, and then my blog is withharmony.org.
So there you go. All right, folks. Well, hey, think about the message, man. Think about how you guys portray your messages from here on out. We just talked to an expert, a quick expert. She became an expert that quickly.
Very fast.
Yeah, good for you, man. So there you go, Harmony France. Thank you again for doing this.
Thank you.
Folks, you met her, you love her. I know you do, because she's very interesting. There you are, another episode on the books. So enjoy your week, enjoy your month, enjoy your day. Go out and find your smile. That was great. Harmless, did you have fun?
Yeah.
Welcome to my life so far. You'd think by now I'd be a star. I may be long-winded, but hey, there's just so much I have to say. Maybe lick your lips when you're hungry. Maybe drop your head when you're sorry. Maybe shake a bit when you're worried. That's